The defeat of anti-Semitism is one of the most important foreign policy goals of the State of Israel, and Israel does not look away when Jewish communities in the diaspora are threatened. But the defeat of anti-Semitism is also a goal which we share with the leadership of the Jewish communities around the world. And I'm honored to invite to speak on their behalf the President of the World Jewish Congress, Mr. Ronald Lauder.
Thank you. Before I start, Naftali, we may disagree on many things, but when it comes to Jewish life and fighting anti-Semitism and what it means to be a Jew, we're 100% there. And the Jews of the diaspora are with you 100%. Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Prime Minister Netanyahu for arranging this conference. I wish him good health. Mr. Bennett, thank you for all your good work with the World Jewish Congress. And thank you to UN General Secretary Guterres, who has sent his representative, Ronald Lauder. And a special thanks to U.S. Ambassador David Friedman for being with us today. Government officials, delegates from dozens of countries worldwide, dear friends. Our topic today is as old as the Torah and as modern as the internet. It's anti-Semitism, the virus that never dies. The native Israelis in this room have not experienced anti-Semitism that we have in the diaspora. That's because you have grown up in a country surrounded by Jews. We can thank Theodor Herzl and the founders who made sure that we're all raised as strong, proud Jews. But I'm here today as a Jew from the Galut, a diaspora Jew. I did not experience anti-Semitism growing up in New York City. I knew I was Jewish, but I was completely assimilated. Then, in 1986, while I was at the Pentagon, President Reagan appointed me as U.S. Ambassador to Austria. A terrific post, or so I thought. The Vienna, I knew, had always been a very special place for me. But I arrived right in the middle of the Kurt Waldheim affair. Waldheim was the former General Secretary of the United Nations, who lied about his Nazi past. The story, by the way, was broken by the World Jewish Congress. Because of this, Waldheim had even been placed on the watch list by the U.S. Department of Justice. Can you imagine a former UN secretary, General Secretary, not being allowed to enter the United States? Waldheim was persona non grata throughout the world, but not in Austria. Just like 40 years before, Austrians blamed their problems on someone else. 2 months after I arrived, the Austrians elected Waldheim president in June of 1986. As ambassador, I had to attend his inauguration. I refused. I made sure I was out of town that day. But upon my return, I detected a distinct change in attitude towards me. I was no longer seen as the U.S. ambassador to Austria. I was now the Jewish U.S. ambassador to Austria. Even though Waldheim was the Nazi, and the Austrians elected him president, they were blaming the U.S. and me. In a way, nothing had changed from the Austria of the past. 2 days after my return, I walked into a shop in central Vienna. The shopkeeper recognized me and asked me a direct question. What do you Jews have against our president? Nice, friendly question. I answered, we don't like him, because he was a Nazi and a liar. That was very popular. His large head turned beet red, and he backed off. I learned an important lesson that day. When you stand up to anti-Semites, when you call them out, they will back down. Anti-Semites are cowards. Around the same time, I took a Jewish kindergarten with the children of Soviet immigrants. This was the first time these children and their parents were exposed to their Jewish identity. We taught them to have great pride in being Jewish and to stand up to anti-Semitism. Today, my foundation has grown to 35 schools, kindergartens, and summer camps throughout Eastern and Central Europe. We recently added Athens and Rome to it. In 30 years, we have educated more than 30,000 students, and we are now teaching the next generation over the next 3 decades. Whenever I visit these schools, I make a point of speaking to students who have encountered any kind of anti-Semitism. I tell them my story, and they tell me their stories. Frankiska in Prague yelled back at the people calling her names. Kata in Budapest hit them with a book bag. Pavel in Warsaw chased them down the street. In Tula, Esther stood her ground, and Martin in Berlin taught them a lesson they will soon not forget. Our teachings seem to have resonated. Anti-Semites are bullies, but the way you deal with bullies is to stand up to them and call them out. I must say, these students have learned their lessons in our schools very, very well. In some parts of the world, children are embarrassed about being Jewish, not in our schools. The boys insist on wearing the kippahs outside with pride. The result is today, it is safer for a Jewish child to walk down a street in many of the countries in Eastern Europe, traditionally most anti-Semitic places on earth, than in parts of Western Europe. That's a complete reversal. And over the past decade, as president of the World Jewish Congress, I have visited heads of states on 5 continents. I have said the same thing to them. Topic number 1 is anti-Semitism. Jewish communities in your countries must be safe. The world looked the other way in the 1930s when the World Jewish Congress was ignored. And the result, we all know, was the murder of 6 million members of our family. In this past year, I had to tell the Prime Minister of Sweden to stop the neo-Nazi marches there. In Poland, I met with the Prime Minister, and I ran ads in all the Polish papers in Polish about the outrageous new law that whitewashes that country's history. And in Bulgaria, I met with the Prime Minister about another neo-Nazi march in that country. Yesterday, the World Jewish Congress met here in Jerusalem, and we decided that every march of 3,000 or 4,000 anti-Semites, we will stage counter marches of 50 to 100,000 students and young people who support Jews everywhere. Let the world see, let them know the difference in numbers, and let them see the difference between those youngsters and those skinheads. Today we are stronger, and we make sure that we are never ignored. We will never let another Holocaust happen again. I think that on this front, we are winning. We will never wipe out anti-Semitism, but we will stand up to anti-Semitism. Anti-Semites back down. Israel and Zionists have proven that lesson over and over and over again. Gone is the quiet Jew. Gone is the frightened Jew. Gone is the hidden Jew. In less than 2 weeks, we will celebrate Pesach. And throughout Eastern Europe, there will be 4,000 seders conducted by the students of our schools. They will encourage the younger brothers and sisters to ask the 4 questions. At every table in every home and every country, the children will take part. I can guarantee you that the parents were watching with tears in their eyes. That is pride. I must tell you that the pride I see in these children renews my strength, makes me work even harder. I believe Israel has no greater supporters than the young Jewish boys and children in Eastern Europe. If we can bring this pride to Jewish children everywhere, even in the United States, then that is how we will defeat anti-Semitism. That is how we will win. And we will win on our terms, not their terms. God bless all of you. God bless the Jewish state of Israel. And may God continue to bless the Jewish people around the world. Thank you.
مشيتي انتي عمري وحياتي دموعي عنيفك يا ماما كرهتيني وتعذبتي فيا انتي حيالك يا نوعانية لموي منتي لحنينة لموي منتي لعزيزة غيرمتي يا دوانية شخل جاريتي وحممتي فيا توشت حيالك يا نوعانية يا ماما دعوانية انتي مشيتي خليتيني يا ماما كيفاش خليتيني بلاش بنموت بلا هموم من هول ليالي انا وانا اللي بكيت عليا طول عمري ما ننساك يا رجالي فين انتي لمويمة فين كنتي لحبيبة انا قمتي من هالي مشيتي عولدين عملوها بيا فيموا لنا يفرج عليا يا ماما دعوانية انتي مشيتي خليتيني اخي يا ماما كيفاش خليتيني بلاش بنموت بلا هموم من هول ليالي انا وانا اللي بكيت عليا طول عمري ما ننساك يا رجالي يا ماما دعوانية إن انتي مشيتي خليتيني اخي يا ماما كيفاش خليتيني بلاش بنموت بلا هموم من هول ليالي انا وانا اللي بكيت عليا طول عمري ما ننساك يا رجالي ما ننساك يا رجالي תודה רבה. Thank you so much. תודה.